Here we are, guys. It's night 2, and we are broadcasting crazily across Facebook and YouTube. Now, we've got a bit of a time delay on YouTube, so I'm just going to wait for everybody to catch up with us this evening. But I would love to know who's hanging out tonight, so please let me know in the comments who we've got here this evening. Let me know. Tasha, oh, hello, my love. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy you could make it. One of our absolute more than enough favourites. Where are you watching from, Tasha? Are you watching from the Reconnect group? That's the best place to watch. That's where the comments and the interaction, you'll all be able to catch up on those and start some great chat as we go through the evening. No worries, Tasha. Do not apologise. Now, if you come up as Facebook user, I can see some of you as Facebook users. What I invite you to do is look for the StreamYard, give permission, so then I can see your name, I can see your face, and we get to have a bit more of an intimate experience this evening, so I can see who I am exactly chatting with. And Angela, welcome, welcome. So lovely to see you. Beautiful. Here to get your mornings topped up this evening. Fantastic. Excellent. Everyone's logging on now. I've still got a few Facebook users. So if you're coming up as Facebook user, give StreamYard permission so that I can see your name, I can see your face. I'm going to be hopping between the slides and being able to read your comments as well. Valerie, you're back. Brilliant. Great to see you again. Hey, and Laura. Good evening, everybody. How are we doing? How are we feeling on this rather grey January day it's been today, hasn't it? We've been blessed with some nice weather. Let's have a little check-in with everybody. Tell me, how are you feeling this evening? Give me in 3 words how you are feeling. Let's have a check-in from everybody. Oh, Valentina, good evening, good evening, good evening. We've got a nice little crew gathering. This is very exciting, very exciting. Tasha has been starting her journaling challenge, but she's here because she loves the science, don't we all? You know, you're in for a real treat. If you haven't come to any of my trainings before, we take the science of personal development and we add in a whole bunch of magic. Everything I do, I'll try and make it fun and brilliant. Try and make it fun as well as informative, because I'm on a real mission to make sure that personal development should not be boring. You may know that I organise a festival, so everything that I do, I try and add a bit of festival flair to it. We do a lot of dancing, we do a lot of tapping, we do a lot of getting to know one another. So, oh, netball soaked, headache but pumped, yes. Oh, COVID, Facebook user, I feel for you. I've just come through the 10 days at home myself. Rebecca's in the house tonight. Brilliant. Hey, Stacey, good evening, good evening, good evening. Right, I'm going to try and do it in the hour. Last night I was bang on the hour. Was anyone there? Like, anyone that knows me, once I get started, I find it really hard to stop. So fantastic. We're going to get cracking this evening because I've got a lot that I want to take you through. We've got some nice eyes closed envisioning to do towards the end, and of course we've got the prizes to announce. Like, I love giving away prizes. I love to reward you for taking precious time out of your busy lives to come and soak up the goodness that I have on offer tonight, because I know that our time is our most valuable resource, right? It's the only thing that we cannot replace. So let's be careful with the way we spend our time. My intention this evening is that we're going to have a 60-minute session that is going to empower you and really get you to look at the way that you're showing up in life differently. And we're going to look at it from the level of the subconscious mind, because that is my jam, girls. So let's do this thing. Oh, I'm gonna take all this tiredness, I'm gonna make it into some. Oh, Mel, brilliant. I can see who it is now. I'm gonna take this tiredness, we're gonna get motivated, we are gonna be inspired. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So, my loves, tonight, what I wish to take you through is really understanding the secrets that are hidden behind your emotions and how negative thinking impacts our lives, because all of these things are getting in the way of you being more confident. Tonight is all about confidence. So we're going to dispel some myths and we're going to look at the science behind how we can grow in confidence and how we can make that a lasting, impactful change. It's not a quick fix. We're looking at the long game here. So let's have a little summary of where we're at. I've taken this 7-day training and I've condensed it into a 3-day special because I know it's January. I know everybody's energy levels aren't quite as they are when we're doing this in the summer. So last night we spent a really juicy evening looking at how we can prevent overthinking and how the logical, rational, analytical brain really prevents us from tuning into the other communication resources that we have being a human being. Actually, our thinking and our thoughts, we spend so much time in our busy heads ruminating, worrying, thinking about all the what ifs, buts, maybes, the things that could possibly go wrong, that actually we're overlooking these really important heart centers and gut centers. And when we tune in to this extra level of communication, we can get some real guidance to give us the clarity, calmness, and confidence that we are all here because this is what you're seeking, right? So we went through that last night. If you would like the replay, just drop me a little message and I can send you the link. If you weren't live last night, then I can send you that replay. It's a cracker for you to catch up on. So tonight is more about the confidence piece. We're going to be looking at negativity, negative thinking, and emotions, and how you can take these to actually be part of your personal growth experience. Tomorrow night, we're getting really clear on what it is that you're here for, that purpose-led piece, so that you get to supercharge your life satisfaction and gain the clarity so that we're not clouded, we get clear direction, and it makes life so much easier to navigate when we're absolutely, I want to say absolutely certain, but like no one's absolutely certain, but when we've got a map with milestones that we wish to achieve, it makes the journey so much more fun. And I've got something super special to tell you about this evening. You may have seen me announce it yesterday on my Facebook page, but this is something super new, never done before. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. For those of you that haven't come across my work or my message before, I'll tell you a little bit about myself in a moment. But something very significant happened at the tail end of last year that I uncoupled from my partner of 22 years, very positively for both of us. And it led to a lot of discussions in my community spaces about how when we go through a personal growth experience, how that impacts our relationships. And what I began to notice was a lot of the women that I was working very closely with had this really deep-rooted fear that they didn't want to do the work because they were worried about the impact it was going to have on their marriage or their long-term relationships, even with their friendships and family relationships or at work. So they were preventing themselves from going deep into the work that they knew they needed to do for fear of how it was going to impact others. So this is super exciting. What I have done, because I wanted to bring some male energy into the More Than Enough space, is call upon 3 amazing male coaches that are in my world. And we're going to have a panel discussion on Thursday night about how we can best support our partners through personal growth, hopefully development. But of course, we cannot have expansion without contraction. So in life, we do tolerate setbacks. And how can we really open up great communication between romantic relationships, in our working relationships, in our friendship groups, and avoid the conflict so that we can very early prevent that fear of growing apart when we do the deeper work, when we go for an awakening or an empowerment experience. So this is going to be really exciting. I've never hosted a panel talk before. So, I mean, I don't really know what to expect. I do know all of these guys are awesome. So we've got Andrew, we've got Josh, and we've got Donovan. And they've all got very different takes, very different life experiences. And we're going to be hearing so much from them. So Thursday night's going to be really great fun. I really encourage you to bring along your partners or your family members or anybody you feel would benefit from this. It's an open to all talk. I haven't released the link yet, but drop me an email if you want the link. So it's naomi@naominewland.co.uk. Send me an email. I'll drop you the link. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really good fun. I don't know where the conversation is going to go. Who knows? So come and join us. I think it would be really powerful if you can get your partners to come and join you for the conversation as well. So heads up on that one. Let me have a quick look in the comments and see what you're all thinking. It's such an important conversation. because who's supporting the guys as well? Like, I spend a lot of time supporting females. That's just the way that my work has evolved. But who's out there supporting the guys through this experience as well? Tasha, yeah, you can relate. Like, when I posted this on my Facebook page, I've had like, I don't know, 30 or 40 comments saying this conversation is so needed. So it's going to be really, really powerful for everybody. So yeah, can totally relate that your personal growth journey has caused some issues in your relationship too. It's a worrying time, isn't it, when you see somebody else accelerate away from the safety and the familiarity that you've been very comfortable with. So brilliant. Bring the other halves along. It's going to be, like I say, super interesting. So let's go deep into what we are covering off this evening. So for those of you that are new to my world, that you haven't come across me, let me formally introduce myself to you. My name is Naomi Newland. I am a confidence coach. I'm a hypnotherapist, an emotional freedom technique practitioner, as well as a solution-focused psychotherapist. Now, this has been evolving over the past 11 years. I've got a 10-year background in corporate. I worked for Coca-Cola before I started my family. I had 3 children very closely together, decided that I wanted to be more home-based and led by my heart, and started my hypnobirthing business, which really was the big pivotal moment for me to leap into the world of supporting women at real milestones in their lives. I was a hypnobirthing teacher for a very long time, and I got really powerful results. And I started to think to myself, oh my gosh, if I could do this for this really monumental time in women's lives, like really help them change their fear into confidence. I'd see women who were like absolutely petrified of giving birth, and then they'd send me emails about how they were shouting, I love this, when they were birthing their babies. And it grew and grew and grew. I became a parenting coach. I started running parenting events. And on the surface, you know, it looked like I was happily married. And I think when you're judging people from the outside in, it looked like I had everything all sorted. But inside, the story wasn't quite as glossy as it might have seemed. And actually, I was really struggling with anxiety and overwhelm. I was overworking, undercharging, and not feeling aligned with the woman that I desired to be. So back in 2017, I made some really big decisions that I was the only one that had the opportunity to sort my life out, and I started investing in myself. I invested in a year-long training. I started working with coaches, and that's where RestFest came about. So I started the Women's Wellness Festival. We all know what happened to that at the start of 2020. Let's not go there. And that gave me the real kick up the backside I needed to really step into the limelight myself, because before that, I was just plagued with negative thinking. I didn't feel like there was space for me in the coaching market. I felt like it was a flooded marketplace, and who was I to? And I'll tell you a little bit more about how I turned all of this around to now be the creator of the More Than Enough movement. I run a training academy now, teaching other women how to do exactly what it is that I do, how to grow their online businesses, and how to access the emotional lifestyle and financial freedom that we are all worthy of. There's been some real highlights in this journey. I took my children out of school for 4 months in 2019. We went off and traveled the Greek islands, homeschooling. I managed to organize the festival completely remotely. And it was one of the highlights of my life. And that all began with me knowing that I was worthy and I was deserving. There's a lot more to all of these stories. When you come and work in my communities with me, you really get to know all of these stories inside out. And I'm just going to point to this photo here. This is one of my favorite photos. RestFest in October 2021 was a real triumph. We'd been through such adversity, like suffered, so I can't even tell you how many traumatic setbacks I had to pull this festival off. And here, having 400 women in front of me and standing on the stage with my daughters present, telling them all about my journey into enoughness, I had this real enlightening moment where I realized there was a big area of my life that I was truly unaligned from. And that's when the uncoupling in my relationship kind of unraveled. And only great things have happened since that time. And yes, it just goes to show when you're in alignment that you can really step into being more true to yourself. So how did I go from being locked in this library of not enoughness? That's what I call it, the library of not enoughness, where I had volumes and volumes of stories about why I couldn't leap into the life that I truly wanted to. Like, I wasn't qualified enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't popular enough, I wasn't thin enough, I wasn't cool enough, I didn't have enough Instagram followers. Like, I had every single excuse. I wasn't stable enough, all of the things. But what happened was I began to challenge those limiting beliefs. I began to ask myself, well, what if I'm wrong? What if my inner critic, we're going to talk a lot more about the inner critic tomorrow night, but what if my inner critic's wrong? And I began to take steps towards saying yes when I normally would have said no. And what that has led to now is me growing this movement, the More Than Enough global movement of over 1,000 women overflowing with enoughness. But it all began with me saying yes. It all began with me building up my self-worth and building my self-belief, because it might be easy for you to judge me and think, well, she's got it all sorted. It's been a real journey that I have flexed myself into, that I've encouraged myself to go one step further, with the full support of working with some amazing coaches, and surrounded by an incredible sisterhood too. So that's the story in a nutshell. If you have any questions about that, tomorrow night I'm going to do open coaching, question and answers at the end of the session, so you can ask me some more detailed, specific questions around that. I'm just going to hop back into the comments. Brilliant. We've got all the other halves putting their hands up to come and join us for Thursday night's chat. Rest Fest. Oh yeah, it was so powerful, wasn't it? What an experience that was. So let's dive in now to knowing why now is the right time to have change in your life. We have been through 22 months of incredible uncertainty, with our subconscious minds having to recreate new blueprints to make sense of the world. Like, we didn't have patterns stored for how to live in COVID times, right? Now, the benefit of this is that right now your brain is super plastic, and we're going to talk about neuroplasticity this evening, but it means that novel experiences are more adaptable at the level of the subconscious. We're so busy making new patterns for new ways of living and new ways of thinking, that now is the perfect time to embark on your own personal empowerment story, your own personal empowerment adventure. So you're in the right place at exactly the right time to absorb all of these messages. I love giving away prizes, right? Who's here for the prizes? Hands up if you love a prize. Hands up if you love a prize. Last night's prize is the same prize as I'm giving away tonight, and that's a one-to-one session with me. I don't generally do single sessions. It's worth £200. I usually work in premium packages, so it's a real opportunity to come and spend an hour with me. We're going to look at something that's keeping you stuck. We're going to use EFT and some matrix re-imprinting to really get into your subconscious and give you a power hour of helping you get unstuck from one of the biggest obstacles in your life. So tonight, if you stay on live to the call and email me the secret word that you'll find at the end of the presentation, then I'll enter you into tomorrow night's draw. But tonight, we're going to go old school. I've got a little bowl with all the names in. Here we go. I've got last night's entries in here, and I'm going to select one of the winners now, so that you get to look forward to getting unstuck, inviting more clarity, calmness, and confidence into your life. Okay, are we ready for our lucky winner? Let's see. Drum roll, please. Oh, amazing. Abby Wright. We've never done any one-to-one work together. This is amazing. Abby, you are the winner of the session. That's going to be super powerful. Can't wait for that, Abby. Drop me an email and let's get you booked in, love. So stay live tonight. I know what happens when we commit to doing these things of an evening. It's so easy to get distracted. Something comes on the telly, Facebook will ping up with a notification, your sister will send you an email about going shopping next week, and you can very easily get distracted. I really encourage you to bring all of your attention into the training this evening, because it can be game-changing for you when you give it your full attention. So in order to do that, it's a little bit of bribery for the subconscious, because the subconscious will be have a pattern for distraction. And so to keep you focused, that's why I offer the prize. So stay with me live tonight. I've got so much to share. And then email me at the end of the session with the secret words to win your very own one-to-one session. Okay, checking in on the comments. Love a prize. Hey Tracy, good evening. Thank you for joining. 100% here for the prize, Tasha. You are the manifesting queen when it comes to prizes. The old school bowl, I know. Modern technology, hey. So, I'm ready. Are you all ready? Let's go deep into looking at confidence. So, before we look at some of the science, what I want to explore this evening is, what do you believe a confident person looks like, behaves like, feels, and thinks? Because something that I've noticed, my work is very specialized in women's self-esteem, women's confidence, is that we have these kind of misguided ideas that have been conditioned into us about what a confident person is. And those ideas, those teachings, prevent women from stepping into the confidence version of themselves because they are worried about being judged. They are worried about what other people might think. They don't want to be seen as somebody that is cocky or somebody that is arrogant, because not nice things have been said about those attributes in the past. So let's have a little check-in with, what do you believe a confident person looks and behaves like, and then let me dispel some of those myths for you and give you something different to think about truly what confidence really means. Yeah, Abby is so lucky, isn't she? Oh, we've got some comments coming in from YouTube this evening. Hello, ND, whoever that may be. So give me something to work with here, peeps. Let me know, how do you think confident people show up in the world? Like, what perceptions do you currently hold about confident people? So Tasha's saying, walking tall, easy and breezy, carefree, right? Here, what else have we got? I know we've got a bit of a time delay, so I'm just hanging tight here, and then I shall explore the common misconceptions, the common myths that I see in the community, in the more than enough space, when people first start working with me. They've got their shit together, Tasha. Yes. They've got it all sorted out. That is the big misconception, I think. They've got all their shit sorted out. They know exactly what's going on. They're decisive, Stacey. I like that. Yes, confident people are decisive. Brilliant. So back to the slides now, back to my slides. So the big thing, this is, and I've got a bit of a story that goes with this, but something that I see time and time again is people confusing confidence with arrogance. And people don't want to be seen as arrogant. Obviously, it's not a choice that they consciously want to show up in the world as. And something that really rung true with this was a conversation I had with my daughter maybe a year or so ago, maybe even 2 years ago. But when I called her sassy, as in like really confident, like giving it some, she thought that was a massive insult. And we got deep into this conversation about how she didn't want people to feel like she was full of herself at school. And I wonder if you remember those kind of conversations in the school playground about, look at her, who does she think she is? She's so full of it. And when I look back at that now, I'm like, well, who else would you be full of? Like, so of course, we're so full of ourselves. And isn't it a shame that specifically women, I'm sure it goes on with all genders and all spaces, but that we are picked against one another, that it's, if somebody else is thriving, that we're not supporting them, specifically back in those school days, because that's when we're making so many of our meanings and values at the level of the subconscious. And so I wonder if that resonates with you at all, this whole idea that being confident is almost like being a show off, like, and that's the difference between the arrogant piece as well. Confident people, what you will find is that they're very quietly confident. They're self-assured at an inner level, that they don't go round without being asked to share their successes. An arrogant person will very much be telling you without asking, and they will take all of the credit for whatever success it is that they are sharing with you. Whereas a confident person will give credit to their team, they will give credit to their sisterhood, they will be able to share that success. And so there's a real differentiation between those two attributes. The idea, who is it? Tasha said, I can't remember who it was. I'm just going back. Tasha, attractive and attentive, Kelly. Good evening, Kelly. Great to have you here. People come across who are confident, but they're not. Preciseness. Ooh, got some good ones coming in now. Tracy, organised and efficient. Ooh, big misconceptions here. So, yes. So, something that I see with the women that I work with is this belief that confident people are so confident they don't have any self-doubts, that they are so self-assured that they never second guess themselves, that they never have that inner critical negative narrative. And what I know from my work that I've been doing for years now, the study, is that actually confident people still do have self-doubt. They still do have worry. They still have that negative narrative. But what they do is that they've learned how to manage it. They've managed that self-mastery piece where they still have limiting beliefs, but they don't let them get in their way from taking the action that they need. So they have much more resilience, they have more tools, they have more techniques to know that those thoughts aren't facts. And that's what enables them to show up as their most confident self. The mind has a 5-to-1 negativity bias. So we're always going to be able to find the negatives, but we can retrain that. We go really deep into this in the More Than Enough experience about learned helplessness and learned optimism. Because if we can learn to be helpless, we can also learn to be optimistic. And that's where the neuroplasticity comes in, that I'm going to talk about on the next few slides. But really want you to know that confident people still have limiting beliefs. Confident people still have doubts. Confident people still have the negative narrative and the inner critical voice. They just don't let it rule their life. And that is the difference, I think, between people with lower confidence and higher confidence. Something we talk about a lot on the More Than Enough experience is our inner critics. I've identified 13 archetypes, and for each of those archetypes, we have strategies to help you cope with whatever type of inner critic it is that you have been conditioned with. Because newsflash, like, your inner critic is not you. We're going to go deep into fears tomorrow night. We're going to look at the inner critic archetypes tomorrow night. So come back for workshop 3, and I'm going to talk much more about that as well, and how you can manage your inner critic. Now, finally, the third myth around confident people is that confident people do things perfectly. It's this whole idea that they've got it all figured out. They know exactly what's going on. They are flawless almost. And again, this is such a fallacy. What I find with the confident people that I work with, the confident people in my industry, is they are just much more accepting of their flaws. They show up regardless of them. The case for flawsome, being absolutely flawsome, is one of my catchphrases. So we are prepared to give things a go, prepared to take a risk, and know that the case for a good enough approach, that perfection is just procrastination dressed up as a bar too high. So I really hope that getting your head round what confidence person looks like makes it easier for you to step into being more confident without that fear of being judged, without that fear of failure, without that fear of worrying what everybody else thinks, because it is your birthright to show up as the most confident version of you. Confidence is a muscle. This is the way that I look at it. Once upon a time, I could not even do public speaking. And I've got a really long story that I'll summarize. When I learned EFT, and we went back to some of the memories that were holding me back from stepping into the confident version of me that I had a yearning for, but I just had so many blocks and limiting beliefs about. Did some tapping with my amazing mentor, Gilly Wooten, and she took me back to some school times when I'd, off the back, more of a relationship because I was a goody two-shoes at schools, of getting the lead in the school play, not on merit, more or like I say, me being teacher's pet, probably, and overhearing the music teacher absolutely slating my singing ability, like really having a go at the teacher that had cast me, like saying, like, it's unworkable, like, what, how on earth has she got this role? And I overheard this conversation, and that has stuck with me for a really, really long time, until I went into my training in 2017. And when I unlocked this old memory that wasn't the truth, it enabled me then to start becoming much more confident, to step onto stages, to do live broadcasts, to be more of me. So I'd love to invite you this evening for you to think of your confidence as a muscle. And as we know, the more we work a muscle out, the stronger it gets. But we have to work it out first, because if we don't do that workout, we don't experience any change. So that's one of the key messages I really want to share with you this evening. Okay, do we have any questions? Are there any thoughts or feedback around confidence at the moment? We've still got some Facebook users. I'd love to know, if you're just hopping on the live now, I'd love to know who's joining us. Give StreamYard permission. There should be a link at the top. Give StreamYard permission so I can see your face and see who we're chatting with this evening. Tasha's saying, convinced your inner critic to be your inner best friend instead. Yes, yes, yes. Flipping the script, Tasha. That's exactly what we do on the More Than Enough method. We take the negatives and we reprogram them into more positive reframes at the level of our subconscious. We're going to look at that tomorrow night, the inner critics, how you get to flip the script on what your inner critic's negative narrative, so that it is more self-serving rather than self-sabotaging, right? Because how useful would that be? So thanks for sharing that, Tasha. Right, my loves. Okay, so let's look at some of the science. That's some of the theory. Let's have a look at some of the science about how we get to make lasting, impactful change at the level of the subconscious. So this is where it gets exciting. When we understand that we can make change, that our brains are not static. Once upon a time, it was almost thought that we inherited our traits, and that genetically we were either this or we were that. You were either confident or you weren't. And that's actually a very fixed way of looking at the brain. What we know now, like decades of research into neuroscience now, is that the brain is ever changing. In any given moment, it's completely wiring and firing. The brain has to be really plastic. Wherever a human baby is born on the planet, let's say we have a human baby being born into London, or perhaps in the Amazon jungle, or perhaps in the outback in Australia, that human baby needs to be really adaptable to its environment. So we know that the environment plays a massive role on how the brain wires and fires. And that changes throughout life. In fact, the human brain does not become fully formed until the age of 25. So even at 18, when we're looking at 18-year-olds, when we're expected to be adults, the prefrontal cortex still isn't wired as efficiently as it will be when they're 25. At 25, that is when the wiring and firing process becomes much more finalized, but it's forever changing. Neuroplasticity is this idea that we can be molded and changed, and we get to make those changes through our conscious thinking. So we take our unconscious and we make it conscious. So we move away from this fixed mindset where we might avoid challenges, where we move away from the unknown, unable to handle criticism, feedback. Intelligent and talent is a given. That's a mindset piece where you either can do something or you can't do something, where we're very focused on externalizing approval. We get threatened by other people's success. When we hit a failure, we give up as well, because we're like, well, I can't do that. So that's a really fixed mindset. So we give up very easily when we have a fixed mindset. And we can move towards the growth mindset, where we see each challenge as an opportunity to grow, that there are no failures, only lessons. That's one of my favorite coaching sayings, anyone that coaches with me. But we're able to give and receive constructive criticism, and that we know that intelligence and talent is dynamic and that is forever changing. We get focused on processes rather than results, so we get to enjoy the journey. And we have the opportunity to really teach our brain how to grow as well. And this is my jam. Like, I love brain training. So every failure is an opportunity to grow. And we get more and more resilient. We get more and more confident. We get more and more calm. And we get more and more clear the more that we do this work. So I really want to give you the seed of hope that change is possible when you have a set of tools to support your personal growth journey. You can become more confident, you can become more calm, and you can become more clear, but you have to do the work. It's not a magic wand, I'm afraid. Like, I am good, I'm really good at what I do, but we have to turn up and put some effort in as well. We have to come from a place of belief that it is possible for you. That's the first piece. And then we have to take action, and then we get the results that we desire. So neuroplasticity, let that be your friend. It will be your guiding mantra that change is possible when you really start to understand how the brain works. And we go so deep into this in the More Than Enough experience. I'm going to be mentioning the More Than Enough experience quite a lot this evening. We've got a new round opening up in 2 weeks' time. So you're getting a taster of what's available for you this evening. It's high quality training, but this is really just the tip of the iceberg of some of the things that we cover off in great depth during the More Than Enough experience. So the key thing is that I find, and the thing that I see all of my clients getting stuck with, is this mindset piece that they want to wait until they're confident to take the action. And that's a mistake, because we can never grow that confidence muscle unless we're flexing it. So we have to approach growing in confidence, knowing that we will make mistakes and we will have setbacks and there will be failures. But everyone is a lesson, and we can take those actions till we grow in confidence. We get to flip the script on this idea that in order to grow in confidence, you need to take the actions. So don't wait until you're confident to take the action until you're confident. The more that we do something, the more we retrain the subconscious mind to have that new pattern, and it starts to become habitual. It starts to become our autopilot. It starts to become our guiding essence. So you can't do that unless you take the actions. You can do a lot of creative visualization, you can use the affirmations, but until you actually physically take the action, it doesn't become an experience. When it becomes an experience, that's how we embed it, not only at the conscious level, the subconscious level, but also in our physical form and our energy form as well. And that's, again, the 4 pillars that we work across in the More Than Enough experience that make it so powerful and unique. So how are we feeling? Are you feeling like you're ready for a little bit more confidence? Tasha has done the More Than Enough experience. She is a more than enough superstar. Her transformation has been quite phenomenal. I'm going to get you to come and share some of your story over the coming days, Tasha. I've got beautiful testimonial from you as well. So thank you for sharing that. So here, now this is something else where I see, we touched a little bit upon this last night, where I see people really desiring change in their life. They have really great intentions. They know what it is they need to do. And very often we can make that change from the level of the consciousness. Now, do you remember the iceberg, those that were on last night, the iceberg analogy? Where our conscious mind is just 4% of that iceberg that's visible above the water. And that's where our cognitive thinking, our rational thinking, our logical thinking all takes place. But below the surface, the 96% of our mind that is almost untouchable, unless you know my tricks, that's where our deeper patterns are stored. So our emotions, our feelings, our values, and those are actually what drive our behaviors. So this here is my little triangle to try and simplify where it is I see people that want to make change in their lives, people that desire more in their lives, people that want something different in their life. This is where they fall down, because what they try and do is either change their behavior or they try and change their environment, because our behaviors impact our environment. So they try here, to change their behaviors. But the starting point needs to be here, our feelings and our emotions, because that's the subconscious piece, and the subconscious will always win. The subconscious is 96% of our patterning, of our makeup. So it's always going to override any of our dopamine driven 4% action orientated behavioral change. So our feelings, and there's a lot of science to this, the feelings will always override our thoughts and they'll always override our behaviors, but they all feed off one another. So we need to interrupt the patterns, and that's what we're here for, to interrupt patterns at the level of our feelings, at the level of our subconscious. And that is how we get lasting, impactful change, because we tap in here to our feelings and our emotions, because those then control our thoughts, the thoughts then control our behaviors, and our behaviors go back and they reinforce our feelings. So we get here what's called dissonance. So we're getting I'm jumping into tomorrow night with the reticular activating system, but there's part of the brain which gives us confirmation bias. And so our behaviors then back up the feeling. So it becomes a loop. But what we do is we interrupt the loop at the level of the subconscious. And that's why it's so difficult to make change. I don't know if you've had New Year's resolutions this year, or if you've had intentions about how you want to do life differently, and you go all guns are blazing, and that's the dopamine. It's the hormone, the neuropeptide for motivation. That will drive that a certain way. You might be able to do days with this new intention. You might be able to do weeks, sometimes even months. But unless we interrupt the pattern of the subconscious, that old habit and behavior creeps back into our lives. And so this is how we get to make the change, peeps. It's gold. When you understand this, you really can make giant leaps forward in your life. Without it, we just stay stuck, right? We just stay in that Groundhog Day. We just stay in that rut where we beat ourselves up, the negative narrative, and we see everybody else shifting around us, but we're still staying stuck in that old energy. Now, I love chatting about emotions. It's one of my favorite subjects, because we have this whole array of daily experiences, and we can go for a roller coaster of sensations and feelings just in one day. And the way I like to look at emotions, the emotional freedom technique that I use with the tapping, is that emotions are just energy. They are biochemical responses taking place within our body that are trying to give us some feedback. They're trying to communicate with us. And I really see all emotions as valid. Like, I don't do the whole spiritual bypassing where we're high vibes only. Each emotion has absolutely its place in the world. What I try and break down is the stories that we make up about emotions, because that's where the danger is. That's where we get rumination. That's where we get taken down. And we use this emotional scale. I know, Tasha, you'll be a big fan of the emotional scale, that all emotions they aren't positive and negative, but they all vibrate on different frequencies. So I'm going to go a bit quantum on you now. But we're all vibrating. All energy has always existed, can never be destroyed, can never be created. It's all already existing. So we're all vibrating at different levels. And our emotions, you can measure emotions at the level of the frequency that they vibrate at. And that's why some emotions, the heavier ones, insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, jealousy, despair and fear, they vibrate at a much denser level. That's why they feel heavy. Like, when we feel our emotions, and like, newsflash, that is what emotions are for. They are, the reason they call feelings is because they give sensations within the body. And this is news to a lot of people. But I don't class them as positive or negative. We class them in their vibration. So when I'm working with my clients, my goal always is just to help them move up the emotional scale. What's the next step that we could take to make you feel lighter, to help you feel like you're vibrating on a different frequency, rather than negative emotions and positive emotions? What happens, the danger of this is, and again, the mistake I see people making, is that they don't want to feel the emotions, so they repress them. Like, we haven't been taught at school, we haven't been taught by families how to deal with emotions. We put them in a jar, push them down, push them down, push them down, repress them. We repress them because there's some shame in being an emotional, sensitive, empathetic person who feels all the things. So we push them all down because no one wants to deal with the emotions, and we can very easily put a lid on that jar. And what happens when we repress rather than express our emotions is that we get emotional outbursts, and the jar bursts open. Very often it can lead to breakdowns and emotional and mental health problems because we haven't been taught how to express, basically. So we do a lot of expressing, we do a lot of deep diving, we do a lot of uncovering in the More Than Enough experience. And although it can feel uncomfortable because we've been conditioned to not ever feel uncomfortable. So we go through this new experience of beginning to learn how to tolerate feeling uncomfortable because life isn't meant to be a cozy ride. We learn how to deal with those emotions in the moment. We go deep into using EFT. We do a lot of tapping in the emotion in the More Than Enough experience, and you'll notice that an emotion only actually lasts for 90 seconds. It's the story and the meaning that we give it afterwards that becomes the emotional tag, that becomes the trigger, that then stays with us for a long time. And that's where we do a lot of work to undo those triggers as well, so that your emotions no longer bring you down. You use them as a guidance system to guide you through your life. And so, to give you some ideas about how that works, and this is a very simple form, but when we're feeling angry about something, that's because something's getting in our way, perhaps. Like, this isn't like a science, but like when an emotion is showing up for you, like if you are feeling anger, like what is blocking you? Like, what is that anger trying to tell you? If you're feeling sadness, it's because something that you love, you've lost it. And that could be something small, it could be something big. So honor the emotions, and we have awareness of the emotions, and then we can deal with them and they don't become a problem for us. Fear is when something you care about is at risk. And joy, life is good, I want to do more than this. So when we're vibrating on the level of joy, we manifest more joy in our lives. So don't see your emotion as your enemy. Like, see it as this incredible communication system that's so complex but so simple, trying to guide you through your life. I wonder if this is a new way of looking at your emotions. Let me know what's coming up for you as I'm explaining this to you, because I really truly believe that if we can manage our emotions, we become much greater humans at having relationships, at having success at work, at being able to have that resilience, have the calmness, confidence, and clarity that we seek. And it's all down to our emotional ability to manage our emotions and our feelings, because that's how we break down the triangle, right? So exciting, isn't it? Exciting way of looking at it. I'm just popping back into the chat, the emotional scale. I know you're a massive fan of that. Game changer. It's like Tasha's got an amazing story about how she uses the emotional scale with her 7-year-old and how it made a massive impact to something very significant for him as well. Game changer. Yes, Tasha, there are no good, there's no bad emotions. They are all valid and they all have the right to be expressed. And when we embrace that, changes everything. It literally, it's a big mindset shift that will make a significant impact in your life. And just for you to be able to be more compassionate to yourself and just know that it's all going to be okay. Thank you for that, Tasha. We've got some more Facebook users. If you're coming up as Facebook user in my chat stream, I really encourage you to give StreamYard permission so that I can see who I'm chatting with. It makes a big difference when I know who's here, who's hanging out with me this evening. So do we have any questions about that at all? What's coming up for you? Tell me what's resonating and let's have a bit of discussion. Is this a new way of looking at changing your life from the level of your subconscious? Fabulous. Right. We are cooking on heat this evening. So now we understand that change is possible. We understand that the brain is plastic. We know that we can move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset with the right training. And when we can interrupt the very conditioned in habits and behaviors that we have absorbed all of our life, like for decades, so many of our belief systems, many of our values are actually programmed in before the age of 7. And all of them probably in our adolescence, some come in adult life, particularly if there's trauma or highly arousing emotions involved, and that's how the subconscious takes on new patterns. But when we understand that the reverse of that can also be true, we can condition it in, we can condition it out. What would be possible for you if you were more confident, if you had the clarity that you seek, if you had the calmness that is going to enable you to be able to have that clear-headedness, to have the inner peace, the positivity and the purpose-led life that you're all here for, right? You've been attracted here this evening because these are things that you seek, whether you recognize that in your consciousness or your subconsciousness. That's why you're here, right? Now, this is one of my favorite techniques that we're just going to spend a few minutes enjoying. When I learned this technique, I thought it was so far out there, but I loved doing it. And I wrote this crazy experience in my time travel portal. And unsurprisingly, well, no, surprisingly, actually, so much of it manifested into my life in a very short amount of time, from 2017 all the way through to my Greek traveling adventures and the festival. These things all just started as ideas in my imagination where I gave myself permission to dream. Wouldn't it be nice if? Yeah, that's the kind of life that I want to lead. And it all began with this exact exercise. So we're going to take a little moment to sit back and do some eyes closed work. Okay, I want you to get really super comfy. So wherever it is you find yourself sitting, if it's safe for you to do so, I really recommend you close your eyes for this. So if it's safe for you to do so, YouTube user, I will come back to that question in a moment. We're going to do the time travel portal first. So with those eyes closed, I'm going to slow down the breathing rate to begin with so that we can just bring our attention fully into this moment. And the breathing technique that many of you will be familiar with that have worked with me, but it's really efficient, really easy to get ourselves into a nice relaxed state, is to breathe in for a count of 4, in through the nose, and out for a count of 8 through the mouth. So we breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4, and out for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In for 4, through the nose, out through the mouth for a count of 8. And very quickly, you will begin to notice how relaxed you are. This slower breathing rate triggers off the automatic parasympathetic response. Your mind will slow, thoughts will become fuzzy, and perhaps you even feel each and every muscle begin to relax throughout your entire body. Wherever it is that you are sitting right now, takes the weight of you. You feel supported. You feel centered. And it's from this space that we can take ideas in our imagination and begin to shape them into reality. But for now, I give you permission to dream. I give you permission to just have some fun in your imagination for the next couple of minutes or so. Now, we're going to go on a little wild and wonderful walk into the future. We're going to take ourselves 3 years from now. So we're going to January 2025. Oof, that sounds a while away. But 3 years is a really great time to do any creative visualizing around. We underestimate what we can achieve in 1 year, and we tend to overestimate what we can achieve other way around. We overestimate what we can achieve in 1 year, and we underestimate what we can achieve in 5 years. So 3 years is a really nice time frame to work with. And I want to give you permission to think big. Like, we're going for a limitless approach now. I'd love for you to approach the questions that I ask you next from a state of, wow, wouldn't it be amazing when? Wouldn't it be amazing if? I don't want you to approach this from, well, realistically, this is what I think is possible for me. I want you to create from a place of possibility rather than a place of where we already are. So I invite you now to step into any kind of time travel portal. It could be a machine, it could be a flying carpet, however you want to travel down a timeline 3 years from now to January 2025. And I want you to turn up in your dream space, living your dream life, like if anything was possible. Remember, we're doing this from a limitless point of view. Where would you land? What kind of space would it be? I want you to notice the colours around you, the landscape, the sights and the sounds. Perhaps it's somewhere far away or somewhere still really local. There's no right or wrong answers here. Absolutely zero judgment. You get to choose in your imagination where you would like to be in 3 years' time, that physical location. And I'd love you to notice the people that you're with. I'd love you to pay attention to what your lifestyle looks like now in this dream life of all dream lives, where they just wake up going, wow, every single morning because you are worthy of this life. How do you spend your time? What does that look like in your dream world? How do you receive income into your life? How do you spend your leisure time? How do you spend your work time? What special people do you get to hang out with? What difference and impact are you making in the world? How do you give back? Do you support any charities or do good deeds? Like, what really lights you up every single day when you put your feet down on the floor and you know today is going to be another perfect day? And whatever's coming through for you, no judgment, just allow yourself to dream that you're living the life full of clarity, calmness, and confidence that you seek with no limits. You know that anything is possible for you. Beautiful. Now we're going to come back to the present moment, zipping all the way back now to January 2022. Sorry to break your dream and bring you back into reality. But I'd love to know what came up for you. I'd love to know how big you can dream. I'd love to know how you felt, what you saw, all of the feelings, all of the experiences, all of the people. Let's have a chat about that. And just skipping back to the question, ND from YouTube, I've actually got a asking how to use the emotional scale. If you go to my website, naominewland.com, you can download a free emotional coaching kit from there. And there are some MP3s and coaching worksheets, which will take you through that whole emotional scale piece. So that will give you all the detail that you're asking in that question there. So let me know, how was your time travel, folk? Where did you go? Who did you see? What did the dream life look like? Tell me, tell me, tell me. Oh, you're being shy tonight. I'd love to know. Love to know what you've got going on. Sunshine, Laura. Absolutely. Anywhere specific was the sunshine? Was it UK sunshine? Tropical sunshine? How are you spending that time, Laura? Tell me, tell me, tell me. This is honestly such a powerful technique to really start you tapping into our heart, our gut, what our soul is really trying to lead us towards without that logical brain, as we discussed yesterday, talking us out of it. Oh, Valerie, cabin life, Airbnbs, working in a little village sounds idyllic. Sun, sea, happy, bright, and confident, helping people, filling your own cup. Love it, Tasha. I can so see you doing that. It's hashtag already done, right? Hashtag already done. Oh, doing your own classes, Valerie, for older people doing exercise. Gorgeous. Now, is this the big dream for you all? How did it feel to allow yourself to dream? We so rarely do that, don't we? We so rarely do it. Facebook user, I don't know who you are, but thanks for sharing. In your house with all your work done, time to do what you wanted to do, time with your son, travel booked, going to Paris on the train. I love it. No rushing around. Doesn't that just sound idyllic? Gorgeous. So thank you for sharing those. And I want you to all take away from this evening that sense of possibility. Because when we do the work at the level of the subconscious and we break down the limiting beliefs that have been conditioned into us very unhelpfully by our life experiences, we truly are able to impact our behaviors and our environment. And so to finish off, I've just got a couple of quick testimonials sharing from some of my previous clients who've been through the More Than Enough experience, because this is exactly what we do with the More Than Enough experience, is help you to unblock all of the limits, to help you flip the script on your negative narrative so that you can bravely believe that anything is possible for you, and give you the tools to do that. Not just the tools to change you in that 10 weeks that we work together, but tools that you can take away and make lasting impact in not only your life, but others too. So just let me share a few words from some of my clients so that you know that it's not just me blowing my own trumpet. But Claudine is one of our absolute superstars. She now helps me run the More Than Enough Training Academy, where I teach other women to do the work that I do. And this is a little bit of an older testimonial because she's talking about investing in the first round of More Than Enough back in the COVID era when she wasn't earning. And she knew that she deserved it and that she would get a good return on the investment. What price can you pay on feeling more positive, confident, and having a clearer direction in life? She loved working with me. Oh, thanks, Claudine. My honesty, encouragement, and support that I create a really safe space to give you confidence to go deep into releasing unhelpful emotions. Felt supported and held throughout the whole experience, and she's found herself again. She now gives a lot less shits about unimportant things. Bravo, sister. And that testimonial now feels a little dated because I'm absolutely witnessing Claudine shine in her total new level life. She's just developed this incredible body image coaching business now. So she's really gone next level since writing that testimonial. Caroline shared with us as well that since working with the More Than Enough method, she feels that she spends much less time being, more time being rather than doing, and she's working towards leading a much more fulfilled life that's aligned to her own values, not everyone else's. She loved the masterclasses. Like, if you've enjoyed tonight, the masterclasses that I take you on this journey with are so much deeper, so much more impactful, so much more packed with science. Knowledge of how core beliefs are formed and learning about the workings of a subconscious mind, which has completely changed her mindset. Should totally recommend myself and More Than Enough in a heartbeat to anyone who dreams about wanting more but is feeling stuck. Investing in More Than Enough will really get you going places. Thank you, Caroline. I think I might have seen you on the call earlier. Thanks for hopping on. So those are just a couple of testimonials. I have dozens of them. I will be sharing some of them and some real live experiences from clients tomorrow night as well. And if you've enjoyed this evening, we're coming to an end now. I'd love for you to share. I can send out the replays of last night and tonight all the way up until Friday. But tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, if you think this would be useful, let them know, okay? We're trying to start. We're not trying. I'm going to reframe that word because the subconscious does not like the word try. But I'm starting a global, worldwide movement of more than enoughness activators. Like, I need an army to do this work with, and that works best for me. If you tell your friends, it makes the whole job a lot easier. So please tell people if you've loved it, send them the replay links, invite them into our world, and so that we can really help women, humans, all genders to feel more than enough at the level of their subconscious, so that they can shed off all of the things that have been holding them back, that comes from other people. It's not their stuff. So if you've made it this far, congratulations. We are now got the very special words to win that one-to-one session with me worth £200, email me now. I am worthy of more, Naomi, and I will put your names into the hats for tomorrow night's free prize draw to win that one-to-one session. There's my email address. It's naomi@naominewland.com. Ping those over into my inbox now. And I'll look forward to presenting one of you with a life-changing prize tomorrow night. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd love, before we sign off, just to hear, what was your number one takeaway this evening? What thing has resonated with you? What thing are you going to tell people about in the staff room tomorrow? What thing has made you feel different about the way that you get to reclaim your clarity, calm, and confidence? Let me know in the chat. Thank you ever so much for the masterclasses. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Tasha. Whoop, whoop. You're in the army, whoever that is, Facebook user. Thanks for sharing. We are building a global movement together. I couldn't do it all without you. So what is your takeaways? And then I'm going to let you get on with your Tuesday nights, almost on the hour, 1 hour, 5 minutes. Getting better, getting better. Yeah, brilliant. I'm getting all the emails flooding in. The energy of emotions. Yes, emotions are just energy in motion. The power of visualization. Brilliant. The 4 emotions are telling what your 4 emotions are telling you is your biggest takeaway. Brilliant. Oh, thank you. You're all sending in your entries now. It's been a glorious night. If you've got any deeper questions, save them till tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm going to do some open coaching. So we'll do that at the end of the session. If you've got any particular things that are preventing you from being clear, from being confident, from being calm, then bring it to me and I will answer them in the hot seat tomorrow night. We're going to be looking at clarity. We're going to look at the reticular activating system, which is my favorite part of the brain. If you can have a favorite part of the brain, the reticular activating system is the part for me. Oh, it's Catherine W. Hey, Catherine W. Remember to be the most confident version. Action's what's needed to make happen. Guys, you've got this. It's been so beautiful. You've got my email address. Share. I'll see you tomorrow night. Tell everyone about the replays and let's do it again tomorrow. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you so much. See you, peeps. Good night.